To the campaign trail now, and it appears that yet again the Greens' hopes of breaking through in the lower house will be dashed. Reports today indicate the Liberal Party will preference the Greens last in every electorate. The Liberals maintain they're yet to make a decision, but it was a tactic that many in the coalition believe helped them win government 4 years ago. So where does that leave the Greens? Will they yet again be political bridesmaids? Sarah Farnsworth investigates.
It's Greens' heartland.
I met you before I get in. I met you on Saturday, I'm Luke.
In Fitzroy, volunteers are gearing up to door knock for candidate HELEN.
Why you've joined the campaign is one of the most important things that you can have with you today as you go out door knocking.
Hi.
Over the last decade, votes for the Greens have been creeping up, slowly. Since first standing in 1999, in the following 3 polls, the Greens secured around 10% of the primary vote. Recent opinion polls suggest their support is growing.
Are we ready to go?
With 3 members in the upper house, the holy grail for the Greens is to get an MP in the lower house.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for being out there.
They're in with a real chance in the seat of Melbourne.
So I think we're on Station Street, so not this one, but the next one parallel.
Also in their sights are the inner city seats of Brunswick and Richmond.
So how important is the power of the door knock for you here in this seat?
It's absolutely important. Our whole strategy is based around talking to voters one-on-one.
This is winnable, this seat, isn't it?
Absolutely. There were only 400 votes in it last time. So it's absolutely winnable for the Greens. And in the federal election, Adam Bant, our federal member, he got 43% here.
And how much do you try and harness the Adam Bant popularity in this area?
Our volunteers call it jumping on the Bant wagon.
Okay.
Out of the inner suburbs, Greens campaigners have different challenges. In Geelong, upper house candidate LLOYD Davies is looking for votes in the massive electorate district of Western Victoria. It stretches from Port Phillip Bay to the South Australian border.
It's not like the inner city of Melbourne where we've been around for a long time. Here people are like, it's the first time they've often spoken to the Greens and they're really interested to hear what we're about.
What's the icebreaker? What are the main issues that you bring up as soon as they answer the door?
One of the key issues we're talking about is making solar panels simple and affordable to install.
While the Greens are campaigning hard on turning alternative energy into a hip pocket issue, all politics is local.
She was wonderful, very friendly and interested in parking on the street.
No matter how many kilometres the Greens walk, there's likely to be a sticking point: preferences, the flow of votes from one party to another. In 2010, the Greens' hopes of winning multiple lower house seats were quashed when the Liberal Party preferenced them last.
I think there is no doubt about that. When that decision was made, there was a real change in the dynamics of the campaign.
Now the question remains, will the Liberals do it again? When it comes to the marginal Labor-held seat of Melbourne, the Greens are resigned to getting few favours.
We're trying to win this in our own right. We're not relying on anybody's preferences.
Labor are very worried about the Greens. You know, they're sort of fighting on their left flank to try and sort of retain voters on the left, and the Liberal Party are trying to kibosh Labor by sort of forcing them to fight on that left flank a little bit. So it's a difficult situation for the Labor Party.
No tunnel, no way, we're going to fight it all the way.
Josh Gordon says issues like the East-West link looked like gaining traction for the Greens, at least attracting protest votes from Labor, until Labor's recent pledge to stop the project even though contracts have been signed.
I think part of their decision to say that they're not going to honour the contract reflected that nervousness about seats like Melbourne and Richmond. The big question is whether or not Labor's decision or the rhetoric about ripping up the contract will translate into a sort of, will neutralise some of that Green vote in the inner city.
Today, the topic of where Liberal Party preferences will go heated up.
Well, if you look at the re-election of Adam Bant, close to 40% of Liberal voters actually ignored the how to vote card and preferenced Green anyway, and he got re-elected, so we think we're still in with a real chance.
But in 2010, this is exactly what kiboshed the Greens, so it looks to be repeating itself.
Well, yeah, the Libs are hopelessly divided over not just the question of the Greens, but also the environment. If they got themselves an environment policy, I guess they wouldn't have to worry so much about the Greens.
So you don't think that them having you preference last is going to affect any of your chances in seats?
That's what they did last time, and we're working through our campaigning, going door to door to door to get those voters back.
OK, well, let's look at the 2010 campaign. You came out quite hopeful or quite confident you could win up to 8 seats. That didn't eventuate. I mean, that must have been devastating.
Well, we certainly regrouped. We went to the federal election after that. We got Adam Bandt re-elected, and we got ourselves an extra senator in Victoria.
But this is Victoria. This isn't federal. This is state politics.
Yes.
What went wrong in the 2010 campaign?
Well, I think we ran a very good campaign and increased our primary vote, by the way. But we've picked up where we left off, and we're very hopeful of getting some inner-city seats.
So let's look at the lower house seats that you think you are capable of winning on your primary vote.
So in Melbourne, Richmond, Brunswick and Northcote, we've already got ahead of one of the old parties, the Liberals, and we're trying to do the exact same thing in Prahran as well if we can. Get ahead of the Labor Party there and knock off a Liberal MP.
You do seem to be in a rock and a hard place, though. You have the Liberals vowing that they'll preference you last again, and then you have Labor's change on the east-west link. Now, that could go against your inner city seats as well.
Yes, Labor are flip-flopping all over the place on this issue, but if you want to stop that road tunnel, you've got to vote for a party whose firm policy it is, and always has been, to spend money on public transport ahead of these, massive, expensive road tunnels.
I mean, I think the big question this time around is the level of disillusionment with the major parties.
By the end of this election campaign, how many kilometres do you think you'll have had to walk?
A ridiculously large amount. I don't know, maybe 15k, but it's literally been hundreds and hundreds of doors. It's amazing.